Hello, and welcome to the Your Human Design Coach podcast. I'm Ashley Watkins. I am an ICF certified life coach, as well as a certified human design coach and teacher. So, I'm here today because human design has been an integral part of my journey. I used to be a classroom teacher, so really from my journey from the classroom to starting my own coaching business and probably most importantly, of connecting more deeply with myself. For those of you who are already familiar with human design, my type is sacral generator. If you're not familiar with human design, just a little bit about it. So it's a cross-cultural modality. It pulls in things from astrology, Eastern philosophy, physics, and more. And it's really a self-awareness tool. It offers this unique blueprint of how you're wired to operate in the world, um, helps you understand your strengths, your decision making style. And I think something that's been really impactful for me is just how to best use your energy and where you kind of naturally get energy from. And that could be in relationships, in your work, in your daily life. So, what does that look like in coaching? In coaching, I use my clients' human design charts to support their aligned choices, their personal growth based on their true nature, not the external expectations that sometimes can really, trip us up. So, I will plan to share more about my own human design and kind of my journey in future episodes. But you're here today. What are we expecting? What are we getting into on this podcast? So in my human design profile, I have a 3-5 profile number. And so I want to talk about what to expect from the podcast as well as what not to expect, kind of in the framework of those numbers. So I have a 3-5. So the line 3 for me is all about jumping in, getting hands on, experiencing it, making mistakes. I think I've always known this about myself, but one thing you will probably hear me say many times is that human design has given me a language for things that just has really empowered me. So, part of my design is to respond to inspiration, in my orbit, in my circle. And it's 2026. Podcasts have been around for a minute. I think I first went to a podcasting workshop to learn how to do it in the classroom 20 years ago. And obviously they've exploded, in the last, I don't know, 10 years, especially maybe since COVID. But, and I mean, I love podcasts. I listen to them all the time. It's always sort of been in the back of my mind. I've had some different ideas, but, never really felt like the right time. Here, not too long ago, it really came into my orbit where I could sort of respond with my gut, which is where I'm meant to I kind of know, like it's that sort of leaning in. Yes, it was a yes. And I'm actually sitting recording this in a room in my basement that this summer I used to use it for sewing. And this summer I was like, just kind of become one of those rooms where you just like put stuff. It's like a little mishmash of all the stuff. It's like, I want to fix this up. I want to make it homey. I want it to be somewhere where I want to spend time and be creative. That was kind of the goal, is to have a space for creativity. So I did that. It was really fun. Probably loved making the room homey more than anything else. And then I got done and I was like, okay, time to be creative. I think I've come down here and sewn once and maybe did some crafting with a friend of mine's daughter once, and that was fun. But otherwise, it just sort of felt like it was hanging over my head. Got to be creative. But then when I decided to do this podcast, I'm like, oh, this is the creativity. I was a journalism teacher. So media and, the idea of maybe eventually interviewing people researching, editing, it all really appeals to me. So here we are, and now I'm on a roll and I can't stop. So, what can you expect here? I would say application. How does human design look in practice when we apply it? So, one type of episode that I'm definitely going to do, I'm really excited for, is coaching. So, I'm going to start by having people write in questions, and then I will generate their chart and then share that with you and kind of point out some things that I notice in, looking at their question through the lens of their design, and then providing, coaching questions, opportunities for reflection that I would in a typical coaching session. I want to build to live coaching with an actual person. Like I said, I'm jumping in, so I don't feel like that's a good thing for me to start with, but that is, one of the goals. I also want to spend some time in some different episodes talking about different aspects of my chart and how learning some of those things and again, application has helped me. That might be in relationships. It's really been impactful in all my relationships, my parenting, building my business, self care. So I'm excited to share some of that with you. And then just sort of general ways to apply human design, whether that's your routine or lack thereof, your parenting, making decisions, whether those are big or small, travel. I travel a lot with my part-time job, and my human design has kind of helped me to make that, we know how travel can be, air travel, to help make that kind of a more enjoyable experience and fulfilling, and has helped me grow. And then just maybe some one-offs. I have one planned that kind of, you see the Beatles over there over my shoulder. I love the Beatles. I know a lot about them. I want to do some things looking at their chart, so that's something I'm excited to do eventually. And then as a person with a line 5 in their profile, I also want to be clear about what not to expect, because I found that that is important for me to communicate, whether that is, again, in my relationships or in my coaching, with my coaching clients. You shouldn't expect a lot of education. There are so many great human design teachers, podcasts, books out there. I'm planning to do an episode where I share some of my favorites, and those will come in throughout all the episodes. No gatekeeping. I want to share all the things with you. But I don't feel lit up or excited about doing like, here's what a generator is, here's what a projector is. So, if you're listening to this, and if you are, you're probably my mom or my friend or my husband, or my kids. But if you're not and you don't know about human design, you may want to, kind of look into it a little bit first, or maybe you've got that 3 and you just want to get in and let's see what it looks like. Either way, happy to have you here. But just want to, clarify that. And then what else can you not expect is perfection. So again, I'm learning as I go. I'm jumping in. I'm excited to grow and go, you know, through this with you and kind of talk about, the mistakes that I will no doubt be making and what those have taught me. Okay, so last little thing before we close. I want to keep this short and sweet. You've taken a chance on me, and let's get to a little bit deeper human design. Kind of talking about what's going on right now with human design. So this episode is coming out on January 21st, 2026, which is the start of the Human Design New Year. So a little bit later in the year than our January 1st. And so I want to talk a little bit about why that's different and kind of what to expect. And maybe, again, if we're thinking about application, what does it mean to prepare for the Human Design New Year or go into the Human Design New Year? It's really not that different than the regular New Year, but um, want to kind of clarify that. So we start on January 21st. That is when the sun enters gate 41. So in human design, there are gates and channels. We'll talk about those throughout our time together. But gate 41 is really associated with the energy of new beginnings, initiating cycles, right? All the things we think about when we're thinking about the new year. It's a good time to set intentions, think about new possibilities. it's a shift in energy and focus. So as we enter into the new year, we're entering into a time where, and my understanding of it is this year is kind of about stepping into even more who you are, how you show up uniquely in the world, and how doing that impacts others positively. So how do we make a significant impact just by being who we are? And Dr. Karen Parker, one of my favorite human design teachers, when you generate your human design chart, if you have, you'll see like there's shapes and there's colors and all these things. Things are white, things are colored in, but everybody has the whole chart. So, for example, gate 41, whether that's colored in for you or not, right now we're entering into that gate. You're going to feel that energy. If you have it, it might be more intense. If you're around people who have it, I just love it. Like I'm so excited. This is what gets me in trouble. I get to talking too much, but just want to give you that little taste. So thinking about application. So as you are entering into the Human Design New Year, if you haven't already, you might consider setting some intentions that sort of resonate with your design. If you don't know what that is, general intentions, but if you want to start to learn a little bit about your design and kind of think about what energies you would like to cultivate. So I mentioned that that's one of my favorite parts, or something that's been really impactful for me, is learning about how I receive energy, what gives me energy, how I use my energy well. What energy do you want going into this new year? So it's an opportunity to really align with purpose. So let's close and talk about a few, calls to action, gentle calls to action. So if you haven't already, I would suggest, if this has intrigued you at all, and you're saying, who is this person talking about types and channels and gates and what is that? You can generate your own chart online. There's lots of places to do this. I like humandesignblueprint.com. That's where I went through my coach training. Erin Claire Jones is the founder of that. She is wonderful. She gives such a good, practical introduction to human design. Like, it's really, really accessible. To do this, you're going to need your birthplace, time, and location. If you don't know your time, you can estimate. If you would like to be featured in a future episode, so that's one, generate your chart. Two, if you'd like to be featured in a future episode, if you'd like to write in a question that maybe you're grappling with, send that to me. Send it over, ashleywatkinscoaching@gmail.com. And I will also need your birth information, so date, time, place, so I can generate your chart. If you're my friend and I already have that stuff, then I'll do it. Or if you're my mom, what if she didn't listen? I bet she will. And I would love to walk through that. Again, we're going to be starting those. You won't be required to be on camera or anything. It'll all be anonymous, but kind of give you some insights and help you have some space for reflection on whatever it is that you're kind of thinking about. Okay, so I want to close with a quote. I'm planning to start each episode with a quote, but for today we're going to close. And it's just going to be whatever's kind of speaking to me. I have a big list of things that, I love. And so I pulled this one. It seems really appropriate. The more we know about ourselves, the more choice we have in our lives and how we show up in the world. So again, the more we know about ourselves, the more choice we have in our lives and how we show up in the world. That's what it's all about. Empowering, connecting with yourself. I've been doing a lot of meditation and reflection lately on self-worth and being innate. So, that's something that Human Design has really supported me in. Thank you so much for listening. Again, I am Ashley Watkins. I'd love to hear any feedback or thoughts that you have, and we'll see you next time.